Hey, I'm Annette.
Hey, I'm Sarah, and welcome to the Bridle Path Podcast.
Take a ride down the bridle path with us as we discuss what's going on in the equestrian world, connect with others on the same path, and talk about stuff beyond the barn.
So, tell me a little bit about yourself, Annette. Like, what kind of background do you have as far as like being an equestrian, and what made you want to start this podcast?
I grew up loving horses like, every other girl. Watched the Saddle Club, literally anything horse related I was obsessed with. And
I love the Saddle Club.
girl, Red was my favorite. Anyway, um, so I wanted to do lessons. And I remember the first time my mom scheduled a lesson. It was the day of September 11th. So I remember getting picked up from school all excited about this horseback riding lesson, only to find out that, well, it got canceled for obvious reasons. So then the next time my mom tried to do something else happened. Like it took years, felt like years, before I got like my first lesson back when I was like
hmm
12. And at the time I did like hunter jumper. I was afraid to jump, really just afraid to do anything besides just ride the horse. I just wanted to ride and like go on trail rides. And at my barn, if you fell off of the horse, you joined the saddle club. So, you know, loving the saddle club, I was like, oh, this is great.
Let
Right.
Let me jump off right now.
um, so I did that for a bit and then it got to be too much financially and I had to stop.
hmm
And I did not get back into riding until after COVID when I just felt like I just need to go out and do something. Like I just want to get back into it. And at the time, like when I rode previously, I knew nothing about dressage or eventing. So I found Kaylee and got into dressage. And then for me, I rode about almost a year and then Lacey passed and I have not been riding since.
hmm
So I've been like on a break and I decided just to pursue other paths as like an equestrian photographer or with marketing and now this podcast. So I'm just kind of like, that's where I am currently. And I would love to get back into riding. I just haven't found a horse that I would actually like to ride. So yeah, that's where I am. What about you?
Riding, not, I guess it was like super young. About 4 or 5 years old. They bought me my first pony, and being an equestrian, we know how ponies are.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they're so cute, they're so little. They're the
Mm-hmm.
devil. Okay, so we know that. And then I started to, ride. And they're
Yeah.
like, you know what? This pony is not gonna cut it. So they bought me this massive old horse, and her name was Baby, and she had a floppy ear because a dog had bitten it.
Oh.
And yeah. And then from there, we just kept buying horses. And then I got adult money and I kept buying horses. And for the longest time, I just grew up rodeoing. So, the goat tying, pole bending, barrel racing.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I did. And I was pretty good at it. I never had to really work much, even though I still did, because I felt it was very important that I pay for my own horse stuff, the feed,
Mm-hmm.
the entry fees, all that kind of stuff as much as I possibly could. Um, I got really big into travel and big rodeos when I was in high school and like, just getting into college. And then we
Mm-hmm.
had gotten into a couple of very, very bad car accidents. And all of a sudden I couldn't ride at all. The doctor was like, look, do not ride for a year.
Mm-hmm.
So, that caused a lot of major depressive moments in life and just kind of finding out like, what do I do now? And I think that's what is so important about this podcast because it's gonna be also for the people saying, hey, even if you can't ride right now, hey, even if you can't afford a horse, hey, if you don't even have a horse or any way to ride,
Mm-hmm.
you can still be in this community. We still want you to be here. We still want you to feel included.
Yep.
And eventually I could go back to ride and shout out Kaylee Becker's Dressage. One of my really, really good friends, Kaylee, she's your mutual friend as well.
It's how you and I met.
Exactly, that's how we met, through Kaylee. Um, I started going out to her farm every once in a while and riding with her, and she really helped me to see that there's a lot more to life than just going fast.
Mhm.
Um, because I tell you what, you think you're good, you think you're winning all these saddles, you think you're the top of the world, and then you switch disciplines, right? So I ride both. I ride Western and English. I'm a Winglish,
Uh-huh.
and I have 5-year-olds beating me still. And I've been doing it for a few years now, but that's what I really appreciate. Oh, excuse me. That's what I really appreciate about this podcast is because just because you don't have a horse or just because you can't afford to ride every day or you can't afford lessons every week doesn't mean there's not something in this community for you.
Yeah, exactly. That's kinda like why I mean, I've told you some things that I have in the works that it's not public knowledge yet, but, like, I think it's why I'm so big on, like, just community, like, in the equestrian world, because
Hmm.
there are a lot of us, and we all like the same things, but we all tend to, like, stick to our little groups, which is fine. Nothing wrong with that. But I love meeting other people in the equestrian world and learning
Hmm.
about them and, like, just connecting with community. So for me, community is a big thing.
Like we've never would have met if
No.
it wasn't for Kaylee,
Mhm.
and when you go to these riding shows and you go to these rodeos and you go to these competitions, you can definitely see that they do have some cliques,
Mhm.
and I want to be the person that's friends with everybody.
Right.
Hey, what can I help you with? Or give me 1 second, I'll come help you, saddle your horse. But so and so at this barn just needs me really quick to film their video or something,
Mhm.
you know? And I don't mind helping. I don't mind doing that because if, as friends, I would hope they would be able to help me
Right.
in some way if I ever needed them.
Right.
But I think we need to break that stigma of, oh, well, if you are riding with this person, you can't ride with this person.
Mhm.
Like I think we all need to be more friendly with each other.
For sure. For sure. Yeah. I'm more reserved and shy, so I'm not the first to go up and, like, do something. I'm also very anxious sometimes around horses
Mhm.
if I don't know them. So I'm not the one to go quick and be like, "Oh, let me help you with this." I want to. I'm just not there.
Mhm.
So for me, I think, like, that's the part that I'm working towards is just being a little more outgoing. You know, a
Mhm.
smile, a hello can't hurt. Um,
Right.
and I think, like, when we're at shows, we just tend to, like, stick to our group, stick to what we know, which is fine. Um, but it is nice to, like, connect with the others that are sitting there watching the jumping round, or you're out on the cross country course and you're both at the same jump. And it's like, oh, who are you watching?
Mhm.
Who are you photographing? Who's your person?
Mhm.
And you just start talking and connecting that way.
Right. One thing I like to do, especially that I've learned with your cross country courses, are go with a group. You
Hmm.
know, go with a couple people, and then when you're coming up to your jump, ask them, okay, how many strides, or what do you think is a good angle for this approach?
Hmm.
What are different people thinking? Because you would be so surprised at you think you know something, and then you're like, oh, this might work better for my horse.
Hmm.
Or, I don't ride a typical English horse. I have a Morab, which is half Morgan, half Arabian,
Hmm.
and she's very fast. She likes to go, but she doesn't have the same stride length and size of some of these bigger warm bloods.
Hmm.
Um, and she has her faults where other horses have theirs. And so it's so cool to see different views on one object,
Yeah.
and if you go through that, that's what, 12 to 15 jumps per course. If you have 5 people with you, that's 5 times 12 new outlooks,
Hmm.
you
Yeah.
know, and obviously you need to you need to be open for criticism, but you also need to be like, look, I know this is not going to work for my horse, so I need to, like, I'm with my horse, I'm not going to go in guns blazing
Right.
because she'll leave me behind. She will just leave me. She'll be like, okay, let's go.
Right.
And Sarah will be a jump one, but
It's definitely helpful to have like those different perspectives, different opinions.
hmm
Um, it's just interesting how everybody, approaches things differently.
right, right. And that's what another great thing with this podcast is, I mean, we want to be able to connect people from all over,
Hmm.
not just, our community or the next community over or even within a state. Eventually, we want to be able to communicate with people around the world.
Hmm.
Some of your top trainers from here, there, and beyond, some different outlooks on stuff like, hey, you're a professional groom in Germany. What is it like? Tell us your experience. What is a day by day
Right.
process for you?
Hmm.
Or like people forget that you don't just have to be a rider to be an equestrian. Like there's so many opportunities out there, and we'll get into it in different episodes, right? Different
Yeah.
kind of jobs, different kind of hobbies.
Hmm.
It doesn't always have to be you on the back of the horse in a show ring.
Correct. Right. And I think we talked about like one of our goals with this podcast is to bring on people through different disciplines. So
hmm
connect English and Western.
I'm very excited, and I hope everybody else will be excited as well.
Hmm.
I think this podcast is going to do great things for everybody, and I really think it's going to reach the goal of really just being able to unite people. We want to break the stigma of equestrians are kind of stuck up. Equestrians
Hmm.
don't really reach out to one another. Like
Right.
that's not true. I've definitely my first show, I've had so much support. I was like, oh my God, what world is this? And then I've been at shows where not a single person will talk to you.
Right. And I can
So
get.
we don't want to be that way. We want to be welcoming.
Hmm. Yeah, for sure. And I think that it's just a lot of just people are in their own heads in their own world.
hmm
But yeah, just kind of break that stereotype. Like my goal with this is to connect with a ton of people all over. And when we're at shows, whether local shows or away shows or championship shows, seeing people that are a part of this community.
Right, right. And I love that. I think that's really going to help encourage people, and also the fact of this isn't going to be just your everyday podcast. It's going to be a whole mix of everyday life. Like a big thing for me when riding is fear. And I know that's a thing for you as well.
Hmm.
So let's, as a community, let's talk about different ways to come together and be like, hey, what are some ways that you've worked with this anxiety that you have?
Right.
Or hey, financially this week I can't afford this show.
Hmm.
What are some great ideas to save a little money or make a little extra money?
Yep.
There's all kind of ideas out there.
There.
We just have to find them.
Yeah. I'm great with that.
Speaking of great ideas, do you know what today is?
What?
Today is the National Day of the Horse.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm. And, and I tell you what, there are some crazy stories out there. There are some amazing horses. And I know it was very, very hard for us to be able to narrow it down to pick two. So, what horse did you pick to kind of like share, their life story about?
So the horse I chose was Secretariat, also known as Big Red. He is celebrated as one of the greatest racehorses in history, captivating the world with his unprecedented Triple Crown victory in 1973. His record breaking performances in the Kentucky Derby, Preakness Stakes, and Belmont Stakes remain unmatched, with his 31-length triumph in the Belmont symbolizing sheer power and dominance. Secretariat's blend of speed, stamina, and heart made him a legend in equestrian sports, embodying the pinnacle of performance. His greatness was rooted in his exceptional bloodlines. He was sired by Bold Roller, a champion racehorse known for his speed and influence as a sire, and his dam was Something Royal, a mare with a strong pedigree that added stamina and class to Secretariat's lineage. This combination of speed and endurance created a nearly perfect genetic foundation for racing dominance. Secretariat himself passed on his legacy as a sire, producing 663 named foals during his breeding career. While none matched his racing career, many became influential in their own right, with notable offspring such as Risen Star, Lady Secret, and General Assembly contributing to his enduring impact on thoroughbred breeding. Also, fun fact, the equestrian brand Ariat draws inspiration from equine greatness, with its name paying homage to Secretariat's legacy. The name Ariat reflects the values of strength, endurance, and excellence, aligning with the horse that redefined what it means to achieve greatness.
And I tell you what, shout out to Kentucky Horse Park. They have a gorgeous statue of him.
They do. I love it there.
I do as well.
Just walking through the barns, the thoroughbred barn, and like just the museum and stuff. It's pretty cool.
It is, and if you've never been, I highly recommend taking a trip there. One of my favorite things when I was there was um the racehorse through the ages segment that
Mhm.
they do, when they
Mhm.
come out and they show you all of the horses that they still have on the grounds. And these horses are amazing. There
Mhm.
is, I mean, breathtaking.
They are. They really are. So who did you choose, Sarah?
I chose a horse, actually a mare. You know, I like my red mares.
Uh-huh.
Um, she's not near as well known as Secretariat, but she is an all-American hero in her own right. Her name is Sergeant Reckless.
I like it.
And yes, and fun fact, she served in the U.S. Marine Corps during the Korean War,
Mhm.
and she actually earned the rank of Staff Sergeant.
Wow.
So technically, it is Staff Sergeant Reckless. So I thought that is pretty amazing. She made
Mhm.
it through the war to fully retire, but she was foaled sometime in 1949, and she was raised um, as kind of like a thoroughbred. She wasn't a thoroughbred though, she was a Mongolian horse. But they raised her and they trained her up there at the Seoul racetrack in Korea, and she was owned by a stable boy. Well, this stable boy needed some money one day to buy his sister a prosthetic leg. And so he sold this little horse, little red mare, who had the name of Flame then. She was bought for about 2,900 US dollars. Um, in October of 1952. And she was brought into the United States Marine Corps and trained to be a pack horse for the recoilless rifle platoon. And what that is these are the I don't know if you've ever seen the movie like War Horse or anything like that. It's the horses that tote these big cannons and all the ammo for these big cannons and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Okay. Um, She was then owned by Kim Hook Moon from the United States Marine Corps, and she has 8 years in service from 1952 all the way to 1960.
Wow.
And this horse is crazy. This horse is absolutely amazing. She was so loved by all of the Marines and anybody who came to the camps to meet her. You know, it became very quickly that she just became a part of them. You know, they let her free roam around all of the camps, and on cold nights or stormy nights, she would just go into these Marines' tents and sleep with them. You know, to get out of the weather. Right. And she was very well known to eat anything. She had been picked on because she ate scrambled eggs, she loved beer, she loved Coca-Cola, and one time she ate about $30 worth of poker chips.
Wow.
So she was loved and, shall we say, well fed.
Yeah. Yeah.
So her main job was to carry supplies and ammunition, but she also did learn to carry the wounded back.
Mhm.
But what makes this horse so incredibly one of a kind, smart, I mean, there will never be another horse like this, right?
Mhm.
In late March of 1953, during the Battle for Outpost Vegas, in one single day, she made 51 solo trips to resupply multiple frontline units.
Wow.
By herself, she would go from camp to the front lines, front line, 51 times by herself.
That's amazing. That's
Most people's dogs aren't even trained that well.
no,
Mine's not.
mine's not either.
That's incredible. She was wounded in combat twice, and she was given the battlefield rank of corporal in 1953, and then another battlefield promotion to sergeant in 1954. Um, she became the first horse in the Marine Corps known to have participated in an amphibious landing, and this is just some of her awards, right?
Mhm.
She has been awarded the Dickin Medal. She has been awarded 2 Purple Hearts, 2 Navy Presidential Unit citations, let's see, a Navy Unit Commendation, and the Marine Corps Good Conduct Medal.
Wow.
This horse was also very small. She was only about 14 hands and weighed about 900 pounds.
Mhm.
So, this is not some big muscled thoroughbred, right? This is just some little pony being like, yo, I've got you.
Mhm.
I'm taking care of my people. You know, this, she was featured in the Evening Post and the Life magazine, and she is recognized as one of America's 100 all-time heroes.
That's amazing. That's really cool. I knew nothing about her until you started
It's
talking.
crazy. Um, she eventually was brought back home to the United States where she retired and everything, and ended up giving birth to 4 foals, and then eventually later died in May of 1968.
Aw. Sounds like an amazing horse.
Um, it is, and for such a small horse to have, you know, that much strength. I mean, these huge ammunition pouches, and I mean, 51 solo trips in just a single day. That is absolutely insane.
Mhm.
That's crazy.
That is. It really is.
And let's see. On that single day, she carried a total of 386 recoilless rounds, which is over 9,000 pounds. She carried 4 to 8 pound shells during each trip. Oh, I'm sorry. Carrying 4 to 8 24-pound shells during each trip, covering over 35 miles on that day.
Can you think of any horses that would
So,
do that?
no, I don't think so. But the good thing is you'll be able to check out these horses on our Instagram.
Oh.
We will post a link below. But these horses are amazing. You know, we have each one is a hero in their own right. I mean, Secretariat, look at the brand Ariat.
Mhm.
He literally just that's him. Ariat,
Yeah.
short for Secretariat. You know, when you look at their logo, they have the 3 horseshoes. You know,
Mhm.
each horseshoe represents a win of the Triple Crown.
Yeah.
You know, Sergeant Reckless, she saved lives, she supported food, she supported ammunition. These aren't just animals, you know.
Mhm.
These are souls. But I'm glad that we had a chance to learn about, more about these two horses because I think that's absolutely fantastic. And I think the more that people know, the more knowledge and positivity they can spread.
Yeah. So I'm curious if anyone's listening and you can comment on any of these posts. What is your favorite horse and why?
Yes, yes, please tell us. If you want us to read about a horse or even about a personal story of your horse,
Hmm.
we would absolutely love to read your stories and learn more history. I'm a huge history person, so anytime I can read and learn, I'm all about it. Speaking of though, Christmas is coming up fairly soon, and you know me.
Hmm.
I've done zero shopping. Christmas is in what, 2 weeks?
2 weeks. 2 weeks.
2 weeks, yeah. What are some ideas either for an equestrian or for, if you're me, from a low budget equestrian?
One of my favorites, just that's an easy gift. And I think if you order today, you might be able to get it on time. Don't quote me. You could probably get a gift card. But glitter marks, have you heard of them?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I have. I see them all the time at shows and I
Hmm.
follow them on Instagram.
Yep.
They have some beautiful stuff.
They do. They do. And like so many options, so many things. You can mix and match. Like they're pretty cool.
So for the people that don't know what glitter marks is, how can you describe that to them?
It is a glitter stencil that you can put on your horse. It's safe, non toxic, created by two vets, just to showcase your style. So when we had ACK, which is a equestrian shop that me, Kaylee, and our friend Carly did, they created our logo for us, and we had some of
Mhm.
our branded riders put our logo on their horse's butt when they competed, which helped promote our brand at the time.
I love that. And then what I also love is, sometimes these horses are like people and they have allergies or they have different needs. The
Hmm.
fact that this was created by two vets tells you, hey, this is something that's safe. It's
Hmm.
not going to hurt your horse. It's not going to hurt you. And then I love all the designs they have. I love that they have like the little chili pepper,
Yeah.
because one of my horses is just like a hot little chili pepper. They have princess crowns, they have shooting stars, they have anything you could think of, they
They
probably
do.
have.
They do. Okay, what are some other things? Like, what's on your list?
I really, really like Chick's Saddlery
Hmm.
online. In fact, that's where I get a lot of my equipment and my gear for riding or anything around the barn that I need. I always go check there first because everything that's there it's the same name brand stuff, but it's just been at a discounted price. So
Yep.
either this storehouse had too much or for the wrong thing, whatever reason,
Hmm.
Chicks kind of get it in and it's 50% off, it's 40% off, it's 60% off. You can't beat that. And as an equestrian on a budget, I can easily go buy something for Kaylee Becker's. One present that I got her was a knitted cooler for
Hmm.
her horse that's hot pink. And she loved it, and I loved it because it's such a great gift,
And now you
but it
know
was
what to
so
get
affordable.
for yourself or other people.
I know. I know. So I make a list also. I make myself a list throughout the year because anytime a holiday comes up, well, what do you want? I don't know. But they have everything from Western and English clothes, riding gear, bridles, saddles, anything for your barn, hay nets,
Hmm.
pitchforks, grooming sets, vet supplies, some supplements, blankets, throws, and then they have like just earrings or stickers for kids, toys.
Hmm.
They have boots, everything that you might need, they might have. So I
Hmm.
always be sure to check there first.
Yeah.
Um, shout out to Chicks. I love you.
I'm gonna plug
But
something myself. It's on my Christmas shopping to give to friends, but it is my equestrian journal that I created for riders or equestrians in general. You don't have to ride because I use it and I don't ride currently. But it's basically It's a journal planner blueprint called My Equestrian Blueprint, and you can keep track of your days, spend time with your horse.
Hmm.
Literally just journal. I like to journal and color in my planner, so it's just
I
a
I
place.
think that's an amazing idea, especially for, if you or your kid or your friend, if y'all are doing lessons,
Mhm,
I think that's a fantastic way to start tracking your lessons, tracking what your trainer says. Because I'll go to Kaylee for for a lesson, and
mhm,
sure enough, I'm like, look, I need to pay attention because I'm not going to remember everything she says. But if you're there and you can write it down,
yep, and it's
oh my
long to
gosh,
carry with you.
you gave me a copy. I love it because I can track everything I need for my show season in it. I can track any kind of vet appointments I have, vaccines, worming, grooming. I mean, it's
Mhm,
all there. It's perfect.
it is.
I don't know how much time you spent to put it in there, but I absolutely love it, and I think that would probably be my number one gift
Aw,
for anybody in lessons or anybody that is starting to show or anything
mhm,
like that. I think it's perfect.
yeah. I don't know about you, but, like, I'll keep planners, not that I need them anymore, but for me, it's like a diary because I wanna know, like, what I did
Hmm.
on what day and what I wrote down, and so that's kinda why I created my equestrian blueprint was for that reason. I could go back and see, okay, where were we in April of 2024 versus where are we
Hmm.
today in December 2024? So it's really cool. It's just you don't have
Right.
to
And
use it every day, but you can just use it when you need it
right. Right. And then one thing I like is I'm super ADD, ADHD,
too.
like squirrel. I am squirrel. Okay.
Yeah.
If I'm having a lesson, I want to know what is my weakness this lesson and write it down.
Mhm.
Per Kaylee or per my trainer, what can I do to fix it?
Mhm.
And there's a spot for that. So you write that in.
Mhm.
And then there's also spots to, hey, have we improved on this a little bit? Or, how are we feeling? 1 out of 10.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe today's a 4, it happens. But as somebody who has lost their memory from a car accident and who is also doesn't focus very well to begin with,
Right.
this helps me so much to be able to keep it all in track. I can go back and say, hey, we are improving,
Mhm.
or hey, it's been a couple weeks. Maybe we should tweak on this a little bit because this hasn't really seen a lot of improvement.
Right.
It has been such a huge help.
Yeah. So we will link all of these gift ideas and what we said on our Instagram at Bridle Path Podcast
Yes.
and probably in this episode notes, but both places. Um,
Yes.
so one thing I wanted to ask you, and as we were talking about these horses, because today is National Day of the Horse, I was wondering, what is your favorite horse movie?
Ooh, my favorite horse movie?
Mhm.
Hmm. Um, there's a lot of movies I like. I don't know if I can pick one. I think one of my favorites though is Wild Hearts Can't Be Broken. It is based on a true story, yet again,
Oh,
and it is about the girl who would deep dive with her horses, and she was totally blind.
wow.
So highly recommend that movie. But also I'm a sucker for favorites like Black Beauty and the Black Stallion.
Mhm.
I like them all. I'm a huge Saddle Club girl like you are.
Yeah.
So Heartland is up there.
Oh, we could just talk about Heartland on one episode. Cool. I love Spirit.
You know what? Top movie right there, Spirit.
I can't help
I
it.
am
It gets me every time.
I am not afraid to admit that. It is a masterpiece.
It is. It is. Ugh, might go watch it after this.
So what about you? Other than Spirit, what
Yeah.
is your favorite?
Um, one of my favorite movies is Flicka.
Oh, that's a good one too. And I also like the original Flicka from way back in the 19 I don't even know,
Yeah.
but that's good. Misty, the little pony, that was
Yeah.
a good one. So, There's so many. Also, comment your favorite horse movies. We would love to know and have a movie day.
Would. We can review them.
We will.
We
You
will
know,
totally
10,
review
10 out of 10. 10 out of 10.
And I'm like, should we also start a... No, no. Let's not add more to our plate. It might be an episode. Let's review this. Heartland episode.
Tell you what, if you comment some movies, we'll go through them and we will rank them.
Yes. Yes. What else?
My grandparents are gonna see this and they're gonna say, "Oh, Gunsmoke."
I love it.
Well, we thank y'all so much for sticking with us, and we hope you really enjoyed the very first episode of the Bridle Path podcast, and we hope that you stick around for more future episodes. We do plan on having a lot of big name guests that we think that you would really, really enjoy and be able to see how it is in different parts of the country and different parts of the world. What you think, Annette?
Yep. Thank you for listening. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast channel. Follow us on Instagram. And we will see you next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye.